Hello, everyone, and welcome to PostGrad Entertainment Presents PostGrad Movies. Today, joining us, we have, apart from the Cognitive Gamer and myself, Cool Guy, we also have the Cognitive Gamer's girlfriend, who I'm surprised is not her left hand.
You mean my left hand?
That's what yes,
I'm so
your left hand.
confused what you're saying.
But why would it be my left hand? I'm right-handed.
Because
This is an awful joke. You know, my family listens to this. This is terrible. Why would you start it off with this?
Because okay, let me explain something right now. The left hand is the one that you should use if you're dominantly right-handed, so you can click with your mouse when you're browsing the web.
I told you to keep this a little more family-oriented, and it didn't happen. I thought we were trying not to use an explicit rating on our podcast, and it just starts off with a really bad joke.
Hey, Cool Guy.
What?
That's stupid.
I know it's a stupid name. Believe me, it's such a bad
It sounds
name.
even worse. I feel like I'm
Wow,
like
see?
I feel like I'm in the intro of like a bad 90s rap song. I'm like, hey, Cool Guy.
Yeah.
You gonna throw down some tunes? Yeah.
God damn it! This is what I have to put up with.
That's what
You're the editor. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and have to start changing my name. So every podcast, I'll have a different name.
That's an awful idea,
Chimichanga Tim. Chimichanga Tim? Is that what you just called me?
It's a new one for this.
Why don't we just call you Frogman?
Yeah, Frogman's cool.
Why Frogman? What's...
How
Because you have frogs.
How about Herpy Man?
No.
You're gonna be a herpetologist.
For some reason, I think that might be misconstrued as something else.
Herpy Man?
Yeah, Herpy Man.
What can that be possibly confused with? Everybody knows you're gonna be
The
a
herpy
herpetologist.
Well,
Because
okay.
to study
we
lizards and
went to the Mutter Museum and we saw a
Muter.
bunch of the Muter Museum. We saw a bunch of warts on a necklace.
oh, that was
Genital
gross.
warts on a necklace.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I think when you say herps man.
We're off to a great start.
Really?
It's so organized.
So, can I say that if you want to laugh, reptile field work, like going outside and doing field work with reptiles, is called herping. We have a really, really great specialty. It's, yeah.
Herping and humping.
All right, so how was your weekend, Cool Guy? Let's get back on track, because that was stupid.
Well...
Cool Guy is stupid.
I know.
Oh,
His name is so stupid. We get it. This has been the 5th podcast of us starting off this podcast being like, your name is awful.
My weekend went pretty all right. I pretty much just spent it working on the videos and all the logistics and stuff like that for the podcast and for our YouTube channel, which you can find us by looking for PostGrad Games on YouTube, and we're there. We have, 6 videos now? We're trying to move to...
And 2 followers.
We have 2 subscribers?
It's
No.
probably the 2 of you.
Last time I checked, we had only 1. I'm so excited.
I don't think we have any.
I don't think I'm sorry. I don't want to get your hopes up, Cool Guy. I just assumed both of you would have subscribed by this point.
No, I'm not. That's like voting
No,
for
we're not
yourself in an election. No, we had 1 subscriber last time that I checked, but on our podcast, every single time that we post an episode, we consistently get between 10 and 20 downloads. That means that we have at least 10 or 20 subscribers to our podcast through iTunes, which is pretty cool. So
And you can confirm that it's not either of you doing those.
I don't listen to it through iTunes. I just check it on Podomatic.
And one of them is my uncle.
Cool. Well, that's 2, and then we have 8 left.
Shout out to him.
Hey,
Mr.
uncle. How's it going? Okay. So anyway, yeah, my weekend was pretty boring, run-of-the-mill type of thing. What about yourself?
Sounds like you didn't do anything except you're on a tropical island, and
We went to go see the family, the extended family.
yeah. So anyway, my girlfriend came to town to visit me because, as you know, I went to grad school in Philadelphia. I'm from Colorado. She's from Colorado, so she came out here to visit me, which is super sweet.
I'm the best.
Yeah, and so we went this weekend and visited my family, which was fun. We got it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Why?
We had a very nice seafood dinner.
Oh, so good.
It was delicious.
Really?
Because, in Colorado, you can't get good seafood.
For obvious reasons.
Right. You can get good mountain food, but not good seafood.
Mountain food. What the heck?
Like
is
venison.
that?
Testicles. Rocky Mountain oysters.
Yeah, like Rocky Mountain oysters and stuff. Yeah.
And we're calling
wait,
that
wait.
good wine?
Does Puerto Rico have good seafood? I would assume so, but you never know. Like BP may have messed that up. So.
No. We have phenomenal seafood. So, It's
You have phenomenal everything, don't you, Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
So to continue our weekend,
I almost got eaten by a goat.
yeah, that was fun.
We went on
A hayride.
your very first hayride.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
My first hayride.
I met a
That's
lot
adorable.
of family members.
They liked her. They won't like her
Well,
after
that's
this
what
podcast.
they told you. At least.
No, they would have straight up told me they didn't like you if they didn't like you.
It was fun. It was pretty. Everyone was super, super nice.
Yeah, well, they made me, and I'm super, super nice.
They made you?
Well,
Wow.
Okay, that sounds very, very weird.
I come from that gene pool, so.
By the way, what are we gonna call you? We don't have a name for you.
She doesn't need a name.
She doesn't need a name.
The
She's
The enigma.
just the girlfriend.
No, Miss Cog Game. Pokemon Freakazoid 101.
Are you serious?
I don't know. You like Pokemon.
Give me something that's not hard to say. Don't like put 8 syllables in there.
Girlfriend.
Lady A.
Lady A.
That is my name in Pokemon now.
Lady A. Huh, okay.
Lady A.
All right. We'll call you Lady A from now on then.
Like Lady Antebellum.
Yeah, but without the Antebellum part.
Antebellum.
Okay. So anyway, keep going. What were you saying about your week apart from meeting all the family and all that stuff?
So then on Monday we come back and
We came back Sunday and I had a test that I didn't know about.
oh yeah, you had to do a test that you thought was actually Monday. So she ended up just doing that all night.
Oh, it was like an hour.
It's like 2 hours.
Okay, it was like
Yeah.
2 hours, but
Still.
that's pretty good.
At least you got it
Thank
done.
goodness you checked. You checked when the test was. And you're like, hey, my test is actually right now. I have 2 hours. So,
I got done. I did well.
hey, you did okay. Yeah, you did okay. You could have done better if maybe you had studied more than 5 minutes.
Well, granted, but also we could have done better if we would have left on time, which we never did.
Whoa!
Shots
That-
fired.
whoa,
Shots
wait,
fired.
wait. Dude, no, don't put this
It's
on me.
true.
You should have checked when your test was a week ago.
Yeah.
You only have 2 tests in this class. How do you anyway?
And this is why I will, when I ever get a girlfriend, I will hazard, or at least err on the side of caution and not bring her on the podcast.
No, that's no fun.
I mean, come
No,
on.
no. The tides have to turn here.
Yeah.
I can't have a girlfriend here winning arguments against me. That makes me look bad.
Yeah, you look like a fool.
Yeah, 'cause I'm losing so many arguments. But Monday, so I wake up and I have hypothyroidism, so I take a pill, right?
Right.
So I took my pill, or what I thought was my pill, and I'm like, hey, let's go to Target because she wanted to get a Game Boy.
Okay, but here's the thing: is that you are the epitome of a whiner.
Okay, well, let's get
You're
into
the
this.
biggest whiner ever.
Okay.
So so he starts telling me that he's seeing double and he's really dizzy.
Let me tell the story.
No.
Let me tell the story. So I'm driving, and all of a sudden I start seeing double of everything. I'm driving, and this is happening. The car in front of me looks like there's 2 cars. I look over, and there's like a squirrel. I'm seeing 2 squirrels, and I'm telling her this. I'm like, I probably shouldn't be driving. There's 2 of everything, but there's nowhere to pull over, and we're pretty much there. And I'm feeling dizzy and lightheaded, and I just don't feel.
Oh, I asked you. I'm like, you're like, I'm seeing double of everything. This is really weird. I'm like, well, what do you think it is? Because you look fine. And he said, I asked you if you wanted me to drive, if you wanted to pull over and want me to drive. You're like, no.
That's because we were right there, and it would have been really,
But
really.
I thought you were a whiner.
Yeah, I know. So we get in the Target, and like I can't walk straight. I'm freaking out because I can't balance, I can't walk, and I have no idea what's
Well,
going
at
on
this
with
point,
me.
we've called your mother.
Right.
We've called your insurance company to see where you can get seen.
That's not true.
Yeah, I did that.
You didn't call them.
Yes, I did.
You called them?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. That's creepy.
You get your
No,
insurance card.
I know,
As soon
but-
as we parked, I called.
I didn't know you called them though.
Yeah,
I thought.
and they weren't open.
Ooh, that's creepy. So then we walk into Target, and we get her a Game Boy or whatever, and I'm like, I still can't walk straight or anything. We get back in the car. I have her drive back, and that's when I realized I accidentally took an Ambien because she takes Ambien, and I accidentally
Oh.
took her pill instead of my pill.
So you're falling asleep, basically, going all catatonic
Yeah.
while driving.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just thought he was a whiner, and you're like, maybe it's a Sudafed, maybe. And like, Sudafed doesn't do that. You're fine. But then,
Because
here's the other thing too, is that we're walking through the store, and you're like, I need you to help me walk. So I'm holding you, and I'm like,
I
what?
don't remember that either.
Really? Because I'm like, well, do you have a headache? Are you short of breath? Your pulse was fine. Do you remember us checking your pulse?
Nope.
Yeah, we checked your pulse. Your pulse was fine, and you were still functional. So I'm like, okay, well, do you want to go home? We can go home instead. And you're like, no, we're here. Let's be here. So then we go through. Yeah. You kind of make me sound like an insensitive fool
because you are
to a point. But I would have taken you home.
Yeah, but how you can't listen to me? I was drugged.
I can't listen to you anyways. You're a whiner. Anyway,
yeah,
so
but I obviously couldn't walk straight.
You could walk straight. I just thought you were being dramatic. But anyway.
Yeah, because I would totally fake not walking straight. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I thought it was weird because this is a thing. Is that so walking through? COD Gamer here is like, oh, let's look at the video games. Like, oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I would have done that in any state of mind.
If you would have been dying, you would not be like, hey, let's look at the video games.
That's debatable. His name is Cognitive Gamer.
Exactly. I agree with him.
Well, see, so at that point, you're not in a state of dying here. I think we're going to continue on. And then you realized you took the Ambien and we went home and you slept. All day.
For 6 hours.
All day.
That's pretty good.
I felt good. Felt good afterwards.
Well, yeah, because you took a sleeping pill.
And then I got Lady A, whatever your name is. I got her addicted to Animal Crossing and Pokemon, the new ones. It's pretty great.
X and Y? She bought X and Y?
She bought X, and then my friend gave me Y.
I know.
Cynic gave me Y. So
nice. Yeah, Cynic.
He's a way cooler friend than you.
Who has a new video up on PostGrad Games on YouTube doing a Pokemon battle, so check it out.
Pokemon. It's what's dinner.
What the hell was that?
I'm not on Ambient right now, I swear.
I don't know.
And then Tuesday we decided to go into the city and explore. So we went to the Muir Museum, which is 19th century medical anomalies.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It was so cool. It was so cool. A bunch of skeletons and dried bodies and extracted tumors, things out of people's colons.
So here's a question. If you get mad cow disease, you die because you can't sleep. So for a week, you just go crazy and your brain deteriorates and you die because you can't fall asleep. Right. There was a dude in the Muir Museum who died because he couldn't poop. His colon was like 40 pounds. Yeah. He died of constipation. That thing was huge. It was like the size of a normal human's torso, but it was just the lower part of his colon.
That's disgusting.
So, yeah, if you had to choose a terrible, terrible death between those two, which one would it be? Go.
I choose colon.
Really, colon?
But how about your choice?
That's a good question. Not being able to go to the bathroom really sucks. So I think I would rather have prions eating my brain for mad cow disease.
Because you can't poop, but then you still have a functional brain.
Well, yeah, but the pain would be excruciating. Can you imagine?
So is having things eat your brain and then you start hallucinating and you can't sleep and then you die?
How conscious you'd be for the end of that? You'd be kind of off in your own little thing.
That's true. Right, exactly. Yeah. You wouldn't even be kind of there. So
I imagine with medical stuff now that they would just probably cut that part of your colon out.
Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty easy thing to fix.
Right.
Yeah, but it looked awful.
Full of shit syndrome. Get it?
Your language is offensive to me.
I know. And then we went and got a burger, and then we went
to the Reading Market.
Oh, we went to Reading Terminal Market. Yeah, which is really awesome.
That's pretty cool.
We had the best crepe ever.
Oh, it was so good. That was an amazing crepe.
That was an amazing crepe.
Yeah.
And then
this is good radio.
It's really good.
And then we went, and then we left, and then today we played Game Boy and we saw Gravity again.
We played trivia last night.
Oh, we did play trivia. We won $10.
We won $10 off our meal, which is great. We were the Freudian slips.
Oh, we saw a couple movies in the theater. So
right.
So today we saw Gravity, and then we also saw Captain Phillips.
By the way, how was Gravity? What did you think of it, Lady A?
Well, I kind of have a space phobia.
Right. That's why I ask you.
Yeah, so I don't know. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have seen it at all.
Right.
But then you saw it by yourself last week.
Yeah, because I'm sad.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you said it was so good, and so I thought, well, if I'm gonna see it, I'm gonna see it with you. And it was incredible. It was really, 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 really good. I don't know. There was a part you said that I freaked out.
Yeah, that was the beginning part when she's floating in space
just
and she's alone. Yeah, I mean, if you have a space phobia, I imagine that scene would be the scariest.
Right.
And you're tensing up a little bit, which, I mean, everybody was.
Yeah. But I think most of the time I sat with my mouth open just because it was so incredible and it was just gorgeous. And the special. Mm-hmm. It's one of those movies that not only is like made for 3D, like you have to see it in 3D.
Right.
Like it's just not. I'm still not converted to the whole 3D thing in its entirety, but I feel like that movie, if you don't see it in 3D, you're missing out on, like, because you feel so claustrophobic, and then you have all the things flying at you. It just, if you didn't have that, it just wouldn't have the same effect. It was really good, though.
Right, I mean, I didn't know.
And I sobbed for, like, 2 scenes.
Yeah, it was great. You crying is just... great.
Did you cry?
I usually cry because it's scary and my eyes water up involuntarily and then I just start crying.
Right.
And
I can see that.
Or I'll cry because it's super emotional. But I don't think I've cried in a movie that way
since Bambi.
Since Bambi. No, since Free Willy when he flies over the jetty and he leaves the poor boy all by himself.
Oh, wait, are you serious?
Oh, I sobbed in that movie.
No, I mean, was that the last movie?
Pretty hard. Probably the last movie that I really, really cried like that. Actually, there was a couple. There was one.
The Blind Side.
Oh no, it wasn't The Blind Side. That's my mother. Probably, Gran Torino made me cry a lot.
Yeah.
I felt so broken after that movie. Gravity was good because it was like a broken empowerment. And it was very
poetic,
very human.
Yeah, and that was
like a lot of human resiliency, which I understand was the point, but it was just really deep and very profound. Yeah, very primal. That's a good word for it.
I completely agree. And going back to the 3D, I think they used it very well to not only give you great depth, like when she's floating out in space, it really makes it seem like everything's vast and open, and you're just lost at sea. There's no end to it. But at the same time, it added to the claustrophobia in the really tight scenes because things were flying at you and it was chaotic and there wasn't a lot of things to move. So,
and I don't know if it's just because space freaks me out, but no matter where you were, there was no escape because either you're in these tiny capsules and you're completely confined, or you're out in this vast openness that can swallow you whole. There's nowhere that she can go.
Which is weird because there's that one scene where George Clooney, Matt comes in, he's like, isn't it really comforting knowing there's nothing out here? And then at the same time, it's like this weird dichotomy with like, it's really scary because there's nothing out here.
Exactly.
So, I love that movie. It's so good.
So good.
And it's so good. That the whole time that, and what I liked about it is it didn't feel cliched. In the sense that she talks about she likes the silence. She as long as nobody talks, she doesn't care. She just wants noise. She wants things to fill it up. And then in the end, it wasn't like she's like, I love people again. I'm totally ready to be happy. I mean, it wasn't that over the top like Christmas story cliche. I learned my lesson now.
Right.
It was really good.
Right. But one thing to say, for my second time seeing it, I really got to focus on the music and the sound. Because before I was more enthralled with the action. The sound in that movie
so good, right?
Phenomenal.
The music and the way that everything worked together. It was no, you didn't realize that there was no sound in the movie really, because after the beginning you kind of forget because the music is in the background, and then when you focus on the music you realize that the music is the sound in the background.
It's both, though. It's almost like the music and the sound were made at one time, and a lot of the sounds were muted, so it made it feel like you're underwater almost.
Yeah, it was very underwatery.
Because you heard it through vibrations, like they would.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way that Ernest Hemingway writes his novels. No, seriously, it is. Okay. Like with the music. So Ernest Hemingway will write like there's always something going on under the surface of the dialogue, that it's almost seen as really choppy. And it kind of emphasizes the idea that silence or the things that aren't said are even more powerful. And it played that way with the sound, that they use silence masterfully. Like the parts that would be really loud and then it would just go silent, or it would go to sounding muffled like you were underwater. And that was done so well. And I think the music itself would just make you cry.
Yeah,
that's true.
The music was beautiful.
And I think going back to like the read between the lines mentality really plays with the dialogue, because the dialogue it's pretty juvenile in that movie.
Well, it's not juvenile. It's just very, very surfacey.
Yeah.
And that's
that's
the same thing with what I'm saying with the Hemingway dialogue.
Right.
Is that there's so much going on. There's a lot more emotion that's conveyed than just the lines that are being spoken.
Right. And it really, Sandra Bullock did an amazing job.
A+.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't really like her as an actress until that movie.
Right. Okay, so apart from Gravity, I suppose now we'll move into theaters. For this little bit, Lady A and I are going to be talking about Prisoners, and Lady A and COG Games are going to be talking about Captain Phillips, because it still has not opened here in Puerto Rico, so I have not been able to see it. So what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with Prisoners or Captain Phillips?
It doesn't matter to me. I think we just need a disclaimer that it's been a few weeks since I've seen Prisoners.
Okay, and for me, I saw it recently, so we're good on that front. So which one do you want to start with?
Let's do Prisoners, because I'm thirsty and I need to go to the restroom. So
okay.
I'll leave you two at it.
Okay, cool. So for Prisoners, it has an IMDb rating of 8.2, a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 81%, and a Top Critics score of 80%. And on Metacritic, it's at 74%. Prisoners is directed by Denis Villeneuve. It stars Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Terrence Howard, and Paul Dano, among others. And funny, I never know how to spell Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's got 2 L's and 2 A's. It's G.
Oh, I didn't have the 2 A's.
Yeah, it's Gyllenhaal. It's a really weird spelling. So
that's weird.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with that. So, what did you think?
You know,
I thought it was great.
Oh my gosh, shut up.
Sorry, I'm back.
You're killing me.
Sorry.
Don't play
forgot my drink.
Oh, Lord. So, the thing is, I guess this is my other disclaimer. I thought this would be a solid red boxer to see. And the only reason I decided to go to the movie itself was because my mom was buying popcorn. So that really lured me in.
The $20 popcorn.
Yeah. But what I have to say is that the movie far exceeded my expectations of what I thought it was going to be. It's a pretty long movie, and I didn't feel like my attention span is notoriously short, and I didn't feel like it dragged on at all. It really kept my attention throughout the whole film, and it was interesting to see, I guess, the way that things changed.
Right.
As far as the characters went, as far as the situations, and it just held my interest. It was, high five for that.
Right. I saw it, and I was... We actually talked about it. I don't remember if it was on episode 1 or 2 or something of PostGrad, and we mentioned that it was coming to theaters, and we said, or at least I said, that it was a movie that I felt that was going to be pretty good because of the premise and what was going on, but that it was a movie that I wouldn't want to... not that I wouldn't want to, but that I would have to put myself through. You know what I mean? It was going to be a movie that I would have to sit and kind of be prepared for what was coming, and I was right.
So you weren't so much a fan.
Oh no, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great, but I had to sit there and just it hurt. Some scenes hurt, you know what I mean? They were psychologically devastating. Just watching it happen was really hurtful to me.
That's true. And there are some very gut-wrenching moments. I mean, when you see the previews, you know what the premise of the movie is, and you know kind of, I guess, the moral themes we're going to be touching on.
Right.
Is that, no, you can't carry out your vigilante justice. And there's a lot of room for error when emotional pain is extremely high.
Right.
And those are not errors that you can afford to be making with somebody else's life. So it's kind of... You would expect it to be cliche, I guess, when you go in, when you know the premise of the film.
Right.
But I thought I did a good job. It wasn't like Gravity. It wasn't too cut and dry. Like, this is what we wanted to say. What did you learn today, kids?
See, I really enjoy movies that have sort of the religious undertones.
Me too.
And since we here on PostGrad don't care about spoilers, and you've already spoiled it for him, I really, really enjoyed the fact that for the first time, there was an atheist bad person. The lady that had the son that got beat up and tortured, she was an atheist because she lost her faith in God. And I really enjoyed that for the first time, it wasn't the crazy religious person that got shot. You know what I mean? Because that's a big cliche. It was a random atheist doing some crazy stuff. And it was refreshing. I was like, thank you. Thank you for actually having something different than what I'm usually used to. You know what I mean? And
yeah, because you kind of get, I don't know, have you ever seen the movie Seven, that old one?
yes, the Seven Deadly Sins.
You get a lot of feelings. Like, it's a lot, really reminiscent of that. Just because you have such a random, weird killing and you have all the snakes and, you know, like, you start with a priest with the dead dude in his basement. So you already have questions here.
Exactly.
I don't know. That was pretty good. And I have to say that it wasn't as predictable as I thought it would be. I wasn't expecting the lady to be the murderer.
Right.
I was expecting the priest to have something to do with it because, you know, he had a dead dude in his basement. That's not a normal thing.
Yeah.
And I knew that things are going south for our dear friend Hijacking, but I didn't expect him to have the tables turned on him so quickly.
Right. And it really did happen really quickly. But I found the script, the way that it played with Hugh Jackman's religion and juxtaposing that and statements and certain, like the Lord's Prayer, for example, juxtaposing that with what he was doing with his actions and then complementing it with morality. You know, how the part of the Lord's Prayer that kept on being repeated was, you know, forgive us our trespasses and, you know, those who trespass against us, type of thing. And at the moment when he realized that somebody had gotten arrested for what was going on, and it wasn't the guy that he was torturing, he was doing the Lord's Prayer outside of the tub where the guy was in, and he couldn't say that line, which I thought was so clever. It was so good, and then his pain was palpable, and you could sort of see his morality ebb and flow. You know, it was going away, and then he finally realized and atoned for his sins in the end, which, I mean, it worked out kind of well. Or you can see it as that he atoned for his sins in the end, and that's why he was rescued, or that's why they found him with the whole whistle scene. Or you can see it as the fact that he actually hasn't atoned for his sins. So he has to still live on earth because he said, I'm ready to go, you know, take me, Father. And he didn't. God didn't take him because he wasn't ready to enter the kingdom of heaven. So it can go both ways. It can either be he was ready to go into the kingdom of heaven and he was forgiven, or he wasn't ready and he's forced to stay on earth and live out the consequences of his actions, which is really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and then it is really interesting paradox because there's that. I mean, the whole thing starts out with he's hunting and he's saying the Lord's Prayer, and everything is, there's this on one hand, there's this faith, and you would assume an underlying set of morals of you do what's right by people, you have faith, you put it in God's hands. But he very much was what was that line? He said something like, the only thing that comes between you and survival is you.
Right.
And so he's incredibly prepared for all of these disasters, but he couldn't be prepared for his daughter being taken. And he's used to relying on his own resourcefulness. And he takes things into his own hands, but it doesn't help him.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just goes back from things that you would not expect. I think it'd be interesting to watch the film again and look at the scenes where nature is really emphasized, because there's a lot of shots of trees.
There are. And
there's tons of trees. I love trees. But they just showed like barren, wintry woods a lot.
Right.
And then there was a very selective use of color.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
I mean, it was gray and brown, very earthy and muted tones. And then one of the central items of the whole movie is this red whistle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then there are things that are really shocking. I think when he has the kid and he's beating this kid up, it's truly sickening. It
is.
Like it's very hard to watch in a lot of ways. It makes you feel sick. It really. It's hard.
It really does, and you end up identifying with his friend rather than him at that first moment when he starts beating the kid up. You start saying, "Whoa, man, you know, what are you doing?" And then the other guy is getting kind of sick to his stomach because of what's happening and he can't take it, and it's really affecting him, and it's really affecting you too. But then near the end of, as the movie keeps on progressing, you start thinking, hey, maybe this kid actually did do it. And then you start identifying with Hugh Jackman, because that's around the time when he grabs the kid, takes the hammer, and you're wondering what the hell's going to happen right now, because we just saw him beat the crap out of him. And he just starts breaking the sink right next to the guy over and over and over again. And at that point, you start identifying with Hugh Jackman more. His frustration, his feelings of loss, and his unableness to do anything really about the situation.
And it really shows him, it degrades him like an animal. Like, he starts off as a human father who's in an incredible amount of pain. There's a lot of fear and desperation getting his daughter back. And then he just degrades at the point where he's getting nowhere, beating the crap out of this kid. And he doesn't have anything left to maneuver with.
And he just keeps on doing it.
Does he become a Wolverine?
He becomes a Wolverine. He rips all of his clothes off and he makes another movie.
Moves to Canada.
Moves to Canada.
Gross claws. Got a bone. All right, I'll shut up again. I'm sorry.
All right, get back. So the other thing was, I thought it did an excellent job playing the differences between, not the differences so much, but it really cheeses you, because it really pulls between what you think and what's logical and reasonable, and identifying with this father's feelings.
Right. That,
of course, it's not logical, reasonable, ethical to kidnap somebody else and beat them senseless.
Of course.
Of course not. But then here you have this father, and you can understand, like, this is his kid. And it's also extremely murky and unclear of how much the guy he kidnapped actually knows.
Yeah, exactly.
We see that maybe as he's beating him, you go back and forth with who you can identify with more, or who you think is right, and you don't know.
Right.
The script does a really good job keeping the audience in the dark, because this kid is like, he said something to Hugh Jackman, and we can say, oh, well, that was imagined, or no, that really happened. We see that scene where the kid is picking up the dog, making the dog,
and hanging him, and the dog's yipping. Ugh.
Yeah. And so you know that makes you angry, and that makes you feel sick and upset. Who does that to an animal? So then it's not too unbelievable that he could carry out harm to a child who is also smaller than him and more helpless.
Exactly.
And so you go back and forth, and this whole time you don't know, okay, is he innocent? Did he do something? Does he have, like, the best poker face ever? Or is he really clueless?
It's true. It's totally true. And I think all of this is sort of brought together because of the fact that you compared it earlier to Seven. And I think this movie falls into the realm of the modern noir films, sort of film noir style. And you have all of the normal tropes, like Jake Gyllenhaal playing a cop that plays by the rules in the beginning, and then slowly taking matters into his own hands by the end, sort of straying away from what is ethical under the job, and doing it because he feels compelled to do these types of things and breaking from the mold, And the way that the law works normally is it's not effective, it's incompetent, it's slow. And because of it, you need to break out of that and try and...
Yeah, it's very legalistic and counterintuitive, and it's frustrating because it's also inconsistent. That you have, he can kind of break through and I guess find the loopholes to get what he wants, but then other times it's not going to work, and they're going to let the guy out anyways.
Exactly. And I think a lot of shots in the film really did the noir style justice, because you had those quintessential night shots that had him silhouetted and then only lit by the blue lights of the cops. You had a lot of rain going on in the background while the cops were attacking places, trying to go inside. And you also had a lot of angsty sort of filming, and really gritty and really real, covered in mud or getting beat up, or the hair goes all over the place when he's fighting someone, that type of stuff. And it was refreshing to see another noir style film. It didn't go as gritty as Seven did, but it definitely did a really good job of being the clean cut noir, the hard and fast type of emotional noir, as opposed to being the strong and really disgusting and rough noir that Seven actually ended up being. So
it was pretty good. So do you think that there's going to be a second one?
I don't think so, because they wrapped it up. You know what I mean? They wrapped the idea up.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of against doing sequels for sequels' sake. So,
because it felt like they left things open. I think, in my opinion, it's very clear that they know he's there. They're going to find him. They're going to get him out. I'm not sure how life would go back to normal, but that's not necessarily required to have a sequel. But then I still have a lot of questions about the history, about what the priesthood, what's really the thing with the mazes. It's like there's a lot of elements of the story that go a lot deeper than they expanded on, and I'm not sure if they're leaving that as room for
development. The only way that I can see it going is as a prequel, not as a direct sequel, because Hugh Jackman would end up going to jail, and that's pretty much about it, because he's definitely going to jail.
Oh, he's going to jail. He's done.
And then he has to face Jean Valjean.
All right, we're done.
Javert.
Go back to playing on your phone.
Javier. I dreamed a dream of days gone by.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah, I would give. I think I'd be a little more generous. I'd give it a high B, 85. I mean, it was a good movie. It held my attention. It brought up really interesting moral questions. It was pretty ambiguous.
Right.
Would you have saw it in the theaters if your mom didn't bribe you with popcorn?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
But I'm glad that I did see it.
Would you, here on PostGrad Games, we don't use a typical rating system. So the way that we go is, would you go watch it, or would you recommend it to people? Just like by yourself, pretty much. Would you go, not would you have gone to watch it now that after you saw it? Would you go back to see it? Would you buy it? Would you recommend it to people? That kind of thing.
You know, that's kind of a hard question, because it's like, I don't feel like I have an explicit need to see it again.
Right.
It is a hard film to watch, but having seen it, I'm glad I saw it. I would make the choice to go back again, and I would allow myself to be lured in for more than just popcorn.
Would you tell me to watch it when it comes out on Redbox?
Yeah, I would have told you to watch it, except I already told you the whole thing.
Yeah, I might still watch it.
Because I really wanted to talk about it when I was done watching it.
So hopefully I forget about it in like 6 months.
You're not going to forget about it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. Watch it if given the opportunity, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so moving on, we're going to Captain Phillips, which has an IMDb rating of 8.1, a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 94%, with an 89% top critics and a Metacritic score of 83. It is directed by Paul Greengrass and stars Tom Hanks and Barkhad Abdi, among others. Tom Hanks is the main character. He's Captain Phillips, and Barkhad is the main Somalian pirate. So,
with really bad teeth.
Right.
Yeah, he does bad teeth.
So with that out of the way and the bad teeth spoken for, you can go ahead and go crazy.
Do you want us to spoil it for you?
Do the same thing that you did with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Talk about it, but don't really spoil it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. We can talk about it.
Well, because you know the true story.
Right, I know the story. Yeah.
So we know the premise and kind of essentially what happens.
Exactly.
And I think without ruining it, you and I both agreed that they did a really good job. It starts with Captain Phillips in his hometown with his wife and talking about the daily events. But then the next thing it does is it goes to the Somali pirates in their village. And they did a very excellent job humanizing these pirates. They're showing that they're probably under somebody else's control by force. Their lives are threatened if they don't perform well in their thievery. But also that they live in really abysmal conditions.
And they don't really have a choice.
Yeah, there's really not a choice, and they're young men driven to a situation that I'm sure that they would choose not to have. Because a lot of movies are just like, here's the good guys, here's the bad guys. The bad guys are just evil, and that's why they do it. That's why they do bad things. And this one did a good job of saying, you know, obviously what they did was wrong, and their tendencies towards violence is wrong and scary, but this person is trying to prove himself in a really, really hostile world.
Right. Which then is juxtaposed by Captain Phillips, which is very courageous, does everything right.
Well, he's very well established in what he does.
Right.
He's respected. His authority goes unquestioned. Whereas the Somali pirate guy is driven not only by the desperation of his situation, but by the fact that he's still a young guy and nobody thinks that he can do it. He doesn't have much respect, and he's very very driven to prove himself.
Which plays into it. We won't get into too much of the story, well, specific scenes, because oh man, that can I just say the ending is awesome. By awesome, I mean very powerful. It's not like, oh, cool, that happened. It was very, very emotionally charged. But we won't get into details for your sake. I will say, shaky cam all over the place.
And how did that work? I'm not.
I like
you. You shut up. You shut up. I'm gonna ask Lady A because I know how you feel about shaky cam.
I really like shaky cam.
Yeah, I'm not, because even the beginning is shaky.
Really? Even when they're like in the village and in the house?
Captain Phillips and his wife are in the car. They're driving to the airport. It's really close and really shaky. And I'm like, oh my God, is this going to be the whole thing? It was.
But it worked.
Yeah, I do have to say I forgot about it.
Yeah.
You're on a choppy sea, so you expect when you're on a little boat, you're going to be bouncing up and down all over the place.
Right.
And even if you see documentaries or stories about how the actual operation was carried out with the Navy SEALs, it shows you how choppy the waters are and how they all had one moment to make this shot, and it was incredibly difficult. So you expect choppy with that.
I thought that was. I think it fit. It wasn't.
It was fitting.
It wasn't. For example, his previous movie was The Bourne Ultimatum, correct?
Bourne Supremacy, Bourne Ultimatum, all of the Bournes. He did all of them.
Okay.
I believe.
Which almost made you sick in the amount of bobbing that happened, but it didn't really have a place. It was they like Bourne. I just remember the scene where he's just Bourne. He's just talking to somebody, and the camera's all over the place, and it's in a cafe, and it makes absolutely zero sense of why the camera is
shaking so much.
Right, it's like somebody drank too much coffee. And
for someone who is not a fan of the shaky cam, I thought it was fitting, and I didn't notice it after a while.
Right. I like the fake documentary feel it gives to it, because it is a true tale, even if it maybe takes liberties, which actually is part of movie news, which is great.
Right.
But it made it feel genuine.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, would you have preferred the initial scenes when they weren't on the high seas to be steadier? Do you think it would have detracted, stayed the same, or added to the scene if it was more, if you felt a difference between the locations, maybe have a tiny bit of shaky cam in Africa for the Somalian pirates, then have no shaky cam where Captain Phillips is with his wife, and then have a lot of shaky cam in the high seas? Would that have changed it?
I feel it was so brief before they're actually on the sea.
Yeah, it was.
Like literally, it's like 5 minutes maybe total of both.
But it was still also very appropriate to be shaky with the Somalians.
Yeah, I feel the car ride scene where he's with his wife,
was annoying.
That was a little weird, especially because you don't really get a clear view of his wife, which I thought was weird. You just see her chin.
It looks like you're in the back of the car and you're looking up at the driver and the passenger, but you see the side and the back of her mouth, really, and her hair, and you see.
It's not.
It's weird.
It's not a normal car scene where it just shows like the side of the head and then the side of the head, or the front of the car and them talking to each other. It was very much focused in, zoomed in, than traditional scenes, which is just his style, I suppose.
Yeah, it was annoying in the first 5 minutes. I was like, are you kidding me? But it was good. Yeah. It was good for the rest of the film.
I'd say watch the movie. I don't know if it needs to be seen in theaters per se. There's nothing big exciting about it. I feel like it's fine to watch on a small screen.
Yeah, and it was a good story. It was entertaining.
Yep. It's a good movie if you don't have anything else to see.
Did Tom Hanks act really well?
Gravity yet? Or if you have seen Gravity twice, go see Captain Phillips instead. That's what I'm trying to say.
So Tom Hanks, good.
Good. And the last one of the last scenes with Tom Hanks is incredibly powerful. Like
so good.
It makes you cry, just because it's very raw.
And do you think that I believe this guy, the Somalian pirate main guy, I believe he's rather new to the stuff, if I'm not mistaken. So, did he do a good job? Was he a good actor? Did you buy his thing?
Was he a real Somali pirate?
Well, no, I'm not asking if he was really a pirate of the high seas. I'm asking if he pulled off the role well.
Yeah.
If you were scared of him, you know?
You
just
fit
the
it
way
pretty
that
well.
they made him look and the way that he acted.
You were more scared of his actions than you were of him, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. It's an interesting observation. I think that's pretty spot on. That he's, just like when you put anything under pressure, it becomes unpredictable.
But then you start to like him, which I really enjoyed.
You liked him?
did. Yeah, because
I couldn't get past the teeth.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, we'll talk about it next week, just because it's like the end of the movie.
Right.
Let's move on.
Before we do you guys agree with the around 80% that IMDb and Metacritic give it, 80-82, or do you agree with the Rotten Tomatoes one, which is a 94 and an 89 for top critics? Which one do you think speaks better to the film?
I feel with the standard deviation going on there, it's about accurate, because you think it's like a high 80s after everything said and done.
80s, mid to low 80s.
I think it was pretty good. I think the acting really brings it up a notch. Like the movie itself is like the story is whatever, but the acting and the dialogue and the perspective really adds to it. I'd say it's about 90, 85 to 90.
85 to 90. I don't know. It wasn't like the best movie I've ever seen.
Right.
It
wasn't Gravity.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything terribly profound about human nature and morality. Like I can't say. So
yeah, I think it definitely did, in the fact that it humanized the Somali pirates, and it shows.
But that doesn't say a ton. That's kind of an obvious thing. But
because it was a unique perspective.
Thing, but it's not done in movies a lot, which was refreshing, but
just
not
like
necessarily profound.
Well, I mean, like take for example the people we saw it with were applauding that they murdered these Somali pirates at the end of the movie because the USA, because the US won, and in the back of my head I'm like, why? Why are you cheering on this? It felt like an empty victory.
Right.
Yeah. It was very much an empty victory, and I liked that part to it.
Yeah, Captain Phillips was okay. Yeah, the USA, quote unquote, won, but it wasn't supposed to make you feel triumphant.
It was maybe supposed to make you a hollow victory kind of thing.
Oh, most definitely.
Right.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't a patriotic thing. You shouldn't feel
which is
like
really
ready to fight for your country after that. It was just this is really unfortunate, even though Captain Phillips is okay. It's a tragedy that this is a situation that happens.
Right. It really plays off the situation of the fact that it's not black and white. It's not USA versus the pirates. It's life, and there's a lot of gray involved within it.
Right.
And I believe it focuses on the gray, and that's a great perspective. And I think that's why it's a good movie. And I was expecting something a little more similar to like Zero Dark 30, which didn't really have it was very black and white. It was
good guys and bad guys.
Right, but at the same time, Zero Dark 30 wasn't, but it was very much so like, we need to kill Osama bin Laden.
Right.
I don't think that movie could have gotten away with Osama bin Laden's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Right, so I feel in that position it's different, though it did try to humanize terrorists in a way.
But I think the nice thing about it, too, that just leads to the real human element of it, is that I think the most interesting thing is this guy has no idea what he's doing. The pirate is just kind of shooting in the dark. Yeah. And it really shows how naive he is. That he really wants control of a situation that is far larger than his scope of control. And he doesn't understand that obviously the US is not going to take this, and they're going to come, and they don't care if they kill you.
I know. Right. I just love it when there's like the scene with the 3 gigantic ships, and he's like, "Oh, I don't mind. I don't care. I'm just gonna hold a gun to the guy you want. Give me my money." And it's almost like he's oblivious to how much danger he's in.
Yeah, because he doesn't truly comprehend how screwed he is the whole time. How totally screwed he is, and how he's not gonna get what he wants. And it starts to unravel, and he starts to understand that, oh my gosh, I'm not. But I don't think even at the end, he doesn't comprehend that he's not going to get out with what he wants.
Well, I mean, if you look at his life or anything that he's been told his entire life, that America will negotiate
and he has
with terrorists and give you money instantly, and I mean, he was lied to essentially.
Right.
But the thing I wish they would have showed more is it kind of underplayed from. I remember that the real story when it was happening. seeing it on the news that this guy was kidnapped. And it was kind of a long time, I think. They were in negotiations for a while, and I kind of wish that somehow the film had showed how big of an event and how big of a topic this actually was.
Like it'd be live on like TV. And...
Yeah, it was live on TV, and that the military it wasn't just like, we're going to send in some of our negotiators. It was like a full military operation to get this working. So
it did and it didn't. It felt expedited, mostly because it's already kind of a long movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to
it's so good. I would see it again.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd see it again, but I'd see it. It was good.
Like if you, I would see it. I would tell other people.
Most definitely. I'd be like, go see this movie. So let's move on to the Netflix movie of the week. Totally not sponsored by Netflix yet.
You totally butchered that. Want to try again?
Yeah, whatever. Movie choice of the week that we chose that's on Netflix, and it's not sponsored by those people yet.
It's.
What are you saying?
Well,
it's our section.
Our segment is called the Netflix Movie Spotlight. Totally not sponsored by Netflix yet.
Boom. There you go. Maybe if you listen to our podcast, you know what would be going on here.
Maybe if you sent it to me.
It's on iTunes. I don't have to send it to you.
I'm not gonna.
I sent you the link. You don't have.
I'm a working lady. I got stuff to do.
You click a button.
I got people to save.
All right, you don't.
Okay.
I called an ambulance twice.
That's true. You do. You're like a lifeguard.
I'm like a lifeguard. Yeah. I'm a lifeguard of the medical field. All right. Anyways.
So our Netflix movie spotlight, totally not sponsored by Netflix yet, is The Nightmare Before Christmas, which has an 8.0 on IMDb, a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes, along with a 95 top critic score, and on Metacritic, it's got no reviews. So it's
an old movie.
It is.
And I enjoy that we should just kind of play along with it because it's October and it's Halloweeny, so
exactly.
This is the month of spookiness.
And next week we will be talking about Carrie. We'll be watching Carrie because
both versions.
Yes, both versions. So that should be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun.
But anyway,
and like I said, Halloween.
This is Halloween.
It's our theme of the month for Netflix.
Our theme of the month is the month.
Actually, that's a great idea. We should have themes of the month for our Netflix.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So this month will be spookiness, and the next month can be.
Will be like
Thanksgiving.
Indian,
right.
Indie
right.
Indian
oh my
foods.
God. Not Indian foods. Don't make a featured month about Indian food, please.
And the next month could be cool Thanksgiving movies. So,
Thanksgiving movies? What kind of Thanksgiving movies are there?
The turkeys.
Charlie Brown.
Turkeys one.
Charlie Brown.
The turkeys one that's coming out.
Yeah, but that's not on Netflix.
That's true. That's true. That would be an actual movie to watch.
How do we address this issue? With cranberry sauce. That's the only part of the movie that looks funny.
I'm sure it's filled with jokes you would love. If I had children, it probably wouldn't be the worst movie that the children would want to see.
That's true. If I had a young child that couldn't appreciate good movies, I would take him to the turkey movie.
Right.
I would too. It's fine.
It looks like a fun movie. No,
Anyways,
it looks great.
Okay, so back to Nightmare Before Christmas. I would have my children watch that.
What's this? Would you?
Yeah, it's blast.
It's terrifying. I would have.
It is terrifying.
I remember I was not allowed to watch it as a kid because it would be too scary. And my mother wasn't into witchcraft.
Is there witchcraft in that movie?
No, there's really not.
There's witches there though. Yeah, they.
But there's that whole Halloween thing that it's a pagan holiday and whatever.
Right.
My mom doesn't like Halloween at all, so.
Well, I
think Halloween's fun.
But I saw it for the first time in high school, and I thoroughly enjoyed it in high school. I enjoy it whenever I see it intermittently throughout the years.
I saw it for the first time 2 nights ago.
Which is why we chose it.
Right. It was a good movie. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it because I typically do not like Tim Burton films.
I thought you were gonna just shoot it down because it was Tim Burton and because it has such a reputation within Hot Topic.
He hasn't. Actually, I'd probably enjoy it more because of that because I love Kingdom Hearts.
That's true.
That movie is definitely in Kingdom Hearts.
It is.
And every time I play that level in Kingdom Hearts, I'm completely lost. I'm like, who is this? It's a gigantic skeleton guy. This is cool, I suppose. Why does Disney make creepy things?
Well, because it wasn't really Disney at the time, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
I
it
thought
was.
Disney picked it up.
No, that was Disney. It is Tim Burton's. Technically speaking, it is Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. But the thing is, people tend to mistake the fact that it's Tim Burton's, and they think that he directed it, when really it was directed by Henry Selick. And it was the story itself was like a short story that Tim Burton wrote, and he was the executive producer. So he had a say in how it looked and the story aspects of it, but he wasn't the director like he has been in most of Tim Burton films. You know what I mean?
It was good, and I think it's fun and it's creative.
It was very creative.
It was.
I think nothing like that has ever been done before. It essentially created this entire culture that is the Hot Topic culture, right? I mean, in the 90s, you have the grunge individuals listening to Nirvana, and then you had the 13-year-olds who thinking that's awesome, and then they watch Nightmare Before Christmas, and again, that was awesome. Because of the fact that it's dark, it's emo, and it's something not done before. I mean,
but it's still not, like, angsty.
I think
it was a little angsty.
It's pretty angsty. I mean, the whole movie's about rebellion and
well, it's about breaking from something new, but it wasn't like, because if you think of, I'm gonna make an emo movie, you would think like, I freaking hate Christmas. I freaking hate happiness. Everybody should be just as miserable as me. And it totally doesn't take that at all.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
It goes like, let's make this really happy and let's make it enjoyable. Let's put our own spin on it. We can make this. This is nothing like we've ever seen before.
But at the same time, yeah, it was something we've never seen before. But it somehow made Christmas the most cutesy, brightly colored holiday into something dark.
It totally did.
Not the fact. I mean, he's handing out presents of gigantic boa constrictors to these poor innocent kids.
Like when the kid opens the present and they go like, "What did Santa leave?" And he opens the present and pulls out the head and he's just staring at the parents and they're screaming. It was wonderful.
Precisely, like that's super dark.
But it wasn't,
but it's
like,
fun.
It
wasn't
mean-spirited.
No,
it wasn't like, I hate their happiness, we're gonna ruin it. It was, you can't know what you don't know. And so like he was giving it the best spin that he could, and it was like a wholehearted, genuine effort.
And they were all enjoying it.
How terribly awry it goes, and how upset he is that he couldn't make Christmas. It wasn't what he turned out to be. And I think the other thing that we all love is we have this allusion to the Rudolph movies and the Frosty the Snowman. I don't know who made those films. So all those types of films that you think of like these warm, fuzzy, cheerful, happy little elves and happy little villages, and everybody's just having the time of their life in Christmas land. And then it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you see it and all of its ridiculousness, and it's like, oh my gosh. This is totally the idealized image that we have of Christmas.
It is.
And Hot Topic.
It has nothing to do with Hot Topic.
Now it
but
does.
It was a nice try.
But I'm saying though, it kind of created that weird, innocent counterculture, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Hot Topic, it's all about rebellion, but it's almost a fun rebellion. I mean, who honestly...
It's a little angsty.
Okay, the reason I shop there sometimes is more for fun.
Like stoner shows.
I do like Adventure Time and all those type of things.
But
I mean, it's like almost fun. I go for Halloween shopping there.
But I think they could have easily gone this whole route if he goes to Christmas Town and he's like, this is just garbage. Why is everybody happy? There's no reason to be. This is stupid. We shouldn't participate. We should show everybody how Halloween is so much better. And it wasn't like that at all.
That's true.
And so it was so cute and happy and refreshing, and I don't know. It's if you think about it, it's a great story.
Yeah, it is. What do you think, cool guy?
All right, I'm gonna lay on the hate train. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I do completely agree with you guys that it is a great movie and that it is very creative. It breaks new ground apart from the stop motion animation, which they mixed with traditional animation, with the shadows and the ghosts.
Yeah.
It definitely treated, I guess, a creative topic. I love the fact that they had the trees around the area that each led to a different town.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And then that the kids just showed up and they had the Easter bunny in the bag.
Yeah, that's where the screw is part of the whole thing.
Exactly, yeah. And I found that really great. But it also shows the failure of Tim Burton himself. He's really great at coming up with these wonderful worlds that are really pretty and great. But when it comes to writing, I suppose, character transitions, motion from one type of character to another within himself or herself, and dialogue, he's terrible. He's so bad. He is so bad. And don't tell me that you didn't notice it, because it happens like this. It's all of a sudden, for example, when he gets shot out of the air, He falls down and he's singing, going
There's
like, "Oh,
in the graveyard."
exactly." He's like, "Oh, I'm so sad. This is upsetting. Oh, but I suddenly have this epiphany. I'm going to go back and be amazing at Halloween again because that's who I am. Yay!" And then he starts singing, and then he goes back, and boom, he just makes out with this girl.
This is a children's movie.
I know. But you can be a children's movie.
Like a musical, and in musicals that happens all the time.
I know. But I'm just saying that you can have a children's movie and a musical and have it still be good in that regard. Like, for example, I thought he did a really good job in Sweeney Todd. Musical, not really for children, but it still did a really good job with the characters. And
Yes.
You have no opinion on this.
You've never seen it.
Yeah.
We fast forward. I don't like that movie very much, but I like the songs. Like, it kind of gets me in. So I think we watched it on fast forward. It was either you or me or Kaylin and I.
I don't think it was me.
Oh, then it was Kaylin. We just fast forward to when all the songs were and all the cool blood scenes, and one was Sacha Baron Cohen, and then we fast forward the rest of the movie. Anyways,
I really enjoyed this movie. I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
But I thought that he could have done a better job with how things kind of worked out in the movie, because it seemed like there wasn't a smooth transition from one thing to the other, apart from in the beginning when Jack Skellington was deciding to go on, just Christmas stuff. He was feeling sad, and he had an entire song devoted to the fact that he was being upset about Halloween being the same thing over and over and over again. And then
I think the thing that makes the least amount of sense as far as the characters go is the boogeyman. Is he just sadistic?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. I'm the boogeyman. I'm evil.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Mardi Gras made of bugs. I'm like throwing knives at Santa. Like there was just nothing there.
Zero intro.
Yeah, and why do the kids know him? And why are they so readily handing over victims of his next torture method? Like, he has a torture chamber. No one's going to address that?
But why does nobody else in Halloween Town like him? He's just as mean as the other people.
And
not as mean, but like scary.
No one else is mean. He's the only one that's truly screwed in the head.
Yeah, but I mean, but why?
Yeah, why?
Don't get Boogie involved with this. He's a weird, mean person at the end of town.
He's a weird guy that just kills people in his basement of fortune. Like, God.
Basement of fortune.
Well, it's like
it's
the wheel
casino.
of fortune.
I know.
It's like the roulette. But then, then why is he scared of Jack Skellington? We understand that Jack Skellington is the master of Halloween. He's the Pumpkin
King.
Yeah. What was that? What were those words?
Pumpkin King.
You got it. Good job. We get that, but we don't know why Boogeyman is scared of him.
Oops. And he just comes in halfway in the movie.
Yeah, just at the end, he's like, I'm here to torture people because I'm the Boogeyman. But then, I will agree that doesn't make any sense. And then...
Yeah, why did the doctor make a Frankenstein girl that doesn't
Yeah, it's kind of fetishy. There's definitely
that's a little
dark,
creepy.
Yeah, there are dark elements that go beyond the scope of childhood.
And then she runs away and just
it just detaches her limbs.
She kills herself. She jumps off of the thing and lands on the ground dismembered.
You can't die in Halloween.
Oh, I know, but still, she kills herself. You know what I mean? She jumps off of a ledge
going on there.
and then dies.
The whole thing is dark, but lightheartedly dark, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even when they're looking for Jack Skellington, they're like, we searched the lake and he wasn't there. I looked in the graveyard and he wasn't there. All these things that are really terrible. And it was just, oh, well, I don't know. He's not dead. No one's going to die in Halloween Town unless you go into Boogeyman's lair.
Usually.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, why is Boogeyman, shouldn't he be the king of Halloween because he's so scary?
I know, right?
You think the bully of Halloween Town would be nice or something? I don't get it.
Well, and then I'm not so sure what the fascination with Sally is either.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they're in love. That was so awkward.
Yep.
Because she kind of breaks away from her weird sexual captor, doctor, creator man. And she helps Jack, and she's the only one who's really thinking away from the pack and making plans. But we don't really know what her personality is. We don't see a lot of her character. We just know that she has this infatuation with Jack, and he's just a little bit oblivious, which is believable. Most men are, but I don't know. Like
That's true.
We don't really see where that comes from. So I mean,
he doesn't even know her existence until the end of the movie when he's all of a sudden, "I love you, Sally."
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but I mean, we'll keep in mind it's enjoyable. It's kind of I'll agree that the story and the character writing is mediocre at best.
But like I said, that highlights Tim Burton's weakness. Everything else he's good at, you know. He's good at making really unique stories, really creative stories. He's really good at the design of the overall movie. I mean, although it's a bit cliche.
It's good to be able to look at this movie 20 years later and still be able to think it's a piece of art.
Right.
I think that's fabulous.
So, in short, I'd watch it on Netflix.
Yeah.
I would. And it's a good movie. I mean, I feel like everybody knows it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
The songs are catchy and they're fun and they're really clever.
Especially the
lyrics are super clever.
Yeah, they really are.
And so it's even good to turn on when you're just like doing the laundry or cleaning the house and you're not actually watching it. You just have it playing in the background. It's a great movie for that.
Right.
Get a soundtrack.
You could do both.
You could be
Since
playing.
Since I am dead, I can take off my head. Here, finish it. You know now.
Well, I don't. Legally, we can't. Besides Shakespearean quotations.
Good job.
Yeah.
You tried, kind of.
I can't sing it because
Why?
that's when we get sued.
You're not going to get sued. No one's going to listen to it.
Boom.
Stop rubbing it in.
Oh, time out. The other thing we watched on Netflix is a documentary about orca whales.
Oh, goodness.
You had to take a drink every time they said predator or intelligent. It was great.
Wait, was this the one that was about SeaWorld?
It wasn't Blackfin.
No,
okay.
we
It
watched
was just a Discovery.
Just a Discovery special? Right. Good choice then. Everyone loves whales, except when you don't.
Everybody should watch it.
I don't know why they're so special.
Everyone loves whales except when you don't, and then you get pissed
incredible.
because I drew a penis.
They're just big dolphins.
Right. They are.
Intelligent predator dolphins.
Take a shot.
Take 2 drinks.
So anyway, would you all recommend watching Nightmare Before Christmas if you haven't seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I'm pretty solidly happy with seeing that movie about once a year.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Halloween time, but Halloween is fitting. It works.
How about Christmas?
I have friends who their tradition is watching Nightmare Before Christmas on Christmas Eve.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
So I guess this means we'll move on to new to theaters and DVD and Blu-ray. New to DVD and Blu-ray this week, we have The Heat, A Hijacking, The Colony, and Pacific Rim. I'm really excited about that last one. I will probably be getting it on Blu-ray because it was a wonderful movie, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Was that the one with Rihanna?
No,
that was Battleship.
Yeah, because I've never heard anybody say that was a good movie.
Nope.
I mean,
it was a run-of-the-mill action flick that offered nothing but cheap thrills, so it was enjoyable to sit through, I guess. And there were explosions.
You saw Pacific Rim.
Yeah, I saw it with Cool Guy.
Blake?
What?
Oh, you saw it with Cool Guy.
Yeah, my dad.
Yes.
And it was awesome.
It was awesome.
It was so cool. I love that movie. Do you have a Blu-ray player? I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, it's part of my computer. I have a Blu-ray disc player, so yeah. But
yeah, it was a great movie. Guillermo del Toro, another knockout.
Hit it out of the park.
That was him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him too. He's so good.
He is.
Guillermo del Toro.
But
What do you say?
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo
del Toro. But yeah, so none of the other movies really interest me.
Okay.
So we will move on to new in theaters, which is Kill Your Darlings in limited release, All Is Lost, Escape Plan, The Fifth Estate, 12 Years a Slave, and Carrie. The two that I'm really interested in are 12 Years a Slave and Carrie. 12 Years a Slave.
Why not Kill Your Darlings with Daniel Radcliffe?
I mean, it's all right. It doesn't look particularly engrossing.
Looks good. I would probably rent it. But anyway, Kill Your Darlings looks good. 12 Years a Slave, I just learned about today. That looks pretty compelling.
It does, and it got pretty much a standing ovation and tears and stuff in Cannes. I mean, let's get real here. Everyone that goes to Cannes is pretty much going to do a standing O and cry.
Yeah.
But I'm excited.
It seems good. Wasn't there a movie kind of like that just came out? Like The Butler?
Yeah, The Butler. Yeah. Well, I mean,
the one that Oprah did.
Right, but I mean, The Butler's all right, but I'm more excited for 12 Years a Slave, honestly.
I don't know how you can be more anyway.
But yeah, the other movie is Carrie, the remake of Carrie by Kimberly Pierce, which is I'm kind of excited for it. So go ahead.
Carrie looks great.
Thank you for that.
She wears her age well.
She does.
That's true.
She's an amazing actress for only being 16.
She is. She really, really is. And I hope that this movie does justice to its predecessor, which we will be talking about next week on the Netflix movie Spotlight, and we will also be talking about Carrie. So stay tuned for that. And I think
the 1970s version.
Yeah, the 1970s version, not any of the other ones. I think with that we can move on to the news. So if you want to take that away, Cog Games, go for it.
Right. So in the movie news this week, we'll start with the one about Captain Phillips,
which is that all of the crew members say that it was a lie, that the movie was a lie.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
But I mean, what do you expect? It's a Hollywood movie. I mean, come on. It's gonna take liberties and it's gonna stretch the truth. That's what Hollywood
does. Completely change who Captain Phillips was. I mean, if you read the interview, the crew said, so in the movie, at the time the Somali pirates first attack, they're in the middle of a Somali pirate drill or like a terrorist drill.
Yeah.
When the crew said they were in fact in the middle of a fire drill, and they went up to the captain and said, shouldn't we be trying to fend them off and getting ready for this? And he was like, no, let's just finish the fire drill. It's not a big deal.
Wow.
They're just pirates. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, they're suing the shipping company for unsafe practices.
Really?
So that's great.
That's pretty funny.
Also, I like how Captain Phillips is a prequel to it's like Tom Hanks playing Tom Hanks in every Tom Hanks movie.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. Totally right.
I don't like Tom Hanks.
How could you not like Tom Hanks?
I'm just gonna come out and say
that's so. I don't know how you cannot like Tom Hanks.
Because he's annoying. Because he's always the same. There's one part where he distinctly sounds like Woody.
And there's a part that he distinctly sounds like Forrest Gump. But Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
It's always going to be Woody.
Tom Hanks.
It's always going to be Woody. All right. Speaking of Woody, the Toy Story of Terror premiered tonight.
It did. And what did you guys think?
I liked it.
We saw 10 minutes of it.
It was very well done.
You saw 10 minutes of it?
Yeah, we missed the first half.
We were watching Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the Christmas special, which is fabulous.
Anyway, it was really well done for TV.
It was. It was all the animation that you expect out of Pixar, and they didn't spare any expense. It was awesome.
Do you think this is almost a test for more of these Pixar shorts?
I don't know, but that was really good. That was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was.
I was
Toy
Story
impressed. Christmas special, and then Toy Story goes on vacation, like almost turning into Charlie Brown.
Right. I kind of hope that it doesn't go that way. You know what I mean? I like my Pixar in small, concentrated doses that put out good movies. I don't know how it'll go if they keep on making dumb stuff, I suppose. I was gonna say Planes, but Planes wasn't really Pixar. It was Disney using Pixar's talent
But I mean, with Cars, they made shorts called cartoons, which is funny.
Right. Right.
But I mean, they're geared towards little children. But I mean, Pixar can do spin-offs.
They can, but I don't know if I'm comfortable with it. I mean, it was a good short. You know what I mean? It was nice, but I still kind of want them to stick to movies.
Right.
In the end, they'll do what they'll do, but I would like for them to stick to movies.
All right. So next up, we have Darren Aronofsky and Paramount feuding over Noah, perhaps. So they just filmed the final cut that he made, and it's getting some bad press.
Really?
Mostly with faith communities saying that he tweaked it and took a lot of liberties with the classic biblical story, leading to maybe it's disrespectful, but who knows?
Well, see, I mean, he was saying that he wanted to take those liberties beforehand. He said that he was purposefully modeling or working with Industrial Light and Magic and modeling the animals so that they would look like, the modern day animals, but they would still have certain things that were off, certain things that were mythical. And
like horses have horns, like they're unicorns, or
I have no idea. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if the horses fart rainbows and have horns. I have no idea. But he said that he was taking a little bit of creativity with it. But he's also been referring to it as trying to stay true to the mythos, and I think that might have been what kind of triggered it in the beginning, him calling it a myth.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you're doing a biblical story, especially something as iconic as Noah's Ark, and you're not sticking to the original telling and not being faithful to it, of course you're going to offend people. This is a story that, somebody's religion. And I mean, it depends how you're going to do it.
But there are a lot of fantastical elements in biblical stories.
And
there are a lot of elements that are very ambiguous in its reading.
Right.
And so you can say there are numerous interpretations even within the faith community.
Right. But I mean, it just depends what he's doing. If it's just a small tweak on the animals, then maybe that's taking it too far. But I mean, it could be even more than that. Maybe he's changing the entire story. Maybe he's not saying. Who knows what liberties
he's taken? Yeah,
exactly.
I think what was going on is the fact that they might have also expected a Prince of Egypt or a King of Dreams type thing. Have you ever seen those movies? Those biblical movies?
Yeah. Right.
So I think they might have expected that, which gave you typical characters that you wanted: the really good guy, the change in perspective, becoming one with who he needed to be via God, and then fulfilling his ultimate potential. I mean, I think they were looking kind of for that, and maybe they didn't get it. They got something more Darren Aronofsky, which it could go really well or it could go really bad for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if you read the story of Noah, it's pretty interesting because it goes into very specific details about how Noah constructed the ship and how large it was and the dimensions of the ship itself.
Right, and his age and his son's age and how
I mean there are some
very
specific things.
Right.
And so I think it would be interesting to see how the director copes with those or incorporates those into the story, because it is interesting how specific it really was.
It's true.
So I think there's bound in any biblical story ever, any story at all, there's bound to be
things that are points of contention, pretty much.
Especially from Aronofsky.
That's true.
Especially from the Bible.
Well, I mean,
Aronofsky plus Bible equals confusion.
It's a perfect storm here. Get it? Because it's storming and then it rains and it's catastrophic. I can't speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is his girlfriend, and now you see why he picked her. Terrible puns. Terrible puns.
We communicate almost exclusively in puns.
Speaking of terrible things, let's move on to the next piece of news, which is Machete Kills flops at the box office.
It did, and while Machete Kills flopped, Gravity took home the most money in its third weekend now? Isn't it the third weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, it raked in almost $50 million, if I'm not mistaken, this weekend, which is crazy. It stayed, I think that it only went down in sales by 20% from one week to the other, which anything under 50% is considered very good in theaters, which is crazy. That's crazy. So while that happened, Machete Kills flopped.
So bad. It made an estimated $3.8 million debut, which is 1/4 of what the original Machete took in its first opening weekend.
Right.
It also has a budget of $20 million.
That's going to be a huge
also
loss.
There are a lot of big names in that movie.
I know. It scored one of the worst openings ever for such a wide release.
Wow. That's awful. That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it has Charlie Sheen, Mel Gibson, Lady Gaga, Sofia Vergara, and the guy who plays Machete are all in it.
Right. And I mean, I can imagine how much money they shelled out to each of them individually, and then now it's not going to make anything back.
Well, I mean, you kind of also have people who are on the downswing. Besides Sofia Vergara, how do you say her? Charlie Sheen's had a big breakdown. Mel Gibson's had a big breakdown. Lady Gaga's doing fine, but she's not really
an actress
known in the acting world.
No, this is her first role. But then again, I mean, it made $4 million in its debut. maybe out of box office like worldwide. It can maybe break even. I mean, even Dread broke even. So
yeah, but Dread got a lot of word of mouth and cult type stuff going on. I don't think that Machete Kills.
Well, this should have theoretically had a following as well because people really enjoyed the first movie, and it has an appeal with how stupid it is. I mean, they're not going for artistic, profound, like a great script and a great story. They're not winning any academies here, and they're not pretending like they're going to.
Right.
I feel like they do this ironically.
Yeah, I really want to watch the first one. I just remember watching a piece of it, and essentially Machete cuts off a guy's head, and while it's in the air, he cuts it in half again. And there's another part where he like slices open a man, grabs his intestines, runs out of a window with that man's intestines, and then swings into the window 1 floor below using the intestines of a man.
He's the manliest of men.
So I mean,
Dos Equis.
It's so over the top. It might be worth a watch on Netflix.
I don't always disembowel a man and swing from his intestines, but when I do,
I prefer Dos Equis.
I prefer Machete.
I prefer Machete.
Oh, there you go.
Machete Kills and kill the box office.
That was awful. That was
Just
really.
stop.
That doesn't
really,
make sense, does it?
Really
Dear
awful.
God, please disembowel me and swing from my intestines and stop making jokes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that with that we are done. So thank you all very much for tuning in. I am Cool Guy, and he is
the Cognitive Gamer,
along with Lady A, who, if we include her at any other points, we will continue referring to her as that because that's a pretty cool name. You can follow me at the Right Pad on Twitter. And you can also check us as PostGrad Games out on YouTube. We're trying to move into 3 videos a week, so hopefully we'll get that up. We have a lot of fun playing games, so...
Join me next week to hear about how to kill a mockingbird.
Wait, are you because you're reading that book, right?
Yeah, my first time ever.
Yeah. How's that going?
I'm enjoying it.
Have they killed that mockingbird yet?
They have not killed the mockingbird yet. No.
They'll get to that eventually.
Yeah.
Gut-wrenching.
Anyway, give your spiel.
I'm on IGN blogs. Just type in the Cognitive Gamer. You can follow me on Twitter at Cognitive Gamer. I'm also on electricfeast.com. I write articles here and there, mostly movies and TV. But with grad school heating up, it's been kind of hard to make any new content. But hopefully next week after my tests, I'll have some time. Yeah, we'll see. And also PostGrad Entertainment, I make videos for that as well.
Good job.
Yeah, I'll do a lot more Let's Play videos. The things up right now are Fez, and then I'll have hopefully some for console games. So
right,
which would be awesome.
And you can also email us at postgradentertainment@gmail.com. We will make sure to dutifully read your emails and take into account any comments, criticisms, or suggestions that you have for new sections of our podcast or for suggestions for the Netflix movie spotlight for movies that we should see. So let us know, and thank you for listening to us.